But this is a disgrace, and you ought to go after this attorney general because she's turning off everybody from coming in. You know.
I'm Ben Meiselas from Legal AF, joined by Karen Friedman, Agnifilo co-host and former prosecutor, the number 2 at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Karen, it was very unhinged, to say the least, Donald Trump's first day at the civil trial brought by the New York Attorney General, lashing out, threatening the New York Attorney General and the judge before, during lunch, and after. But that was a direct threat right there. I want to get your perspective as a former prosecutor, the former number 2 at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Is what we just witnessed a crime?
I certainly think it is. He's getting more and more blatant and more direct in terms of his threats to prosecutors, judges, witnesses, whoever. This was the most explicit, I think, direct threats so far, as if holding a baseball bat next to Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA's head. If you recall, Ben, when he posted that picture when he was prosecuted, when the indictment came down against him by the Manhattan DA's office and by Alvin Bragg. And he claims, oh no, I was just, talking about an American-made bat, as if we're supposed to believe that. But because it was a little bit subtle, it was hard to say that was a direct threat. Or, when he said on TV that time, Proud Boys stand back and stand down, or stand by, whatever he said, stand back and stand by. Everyone knew that was a call to action, to violence. And that culminated in January 6th when, he whipped up an armed crowd who literally pointed them at the Capitol and told them, every single person has testified or has explicitly said, whether it's in sentencing memoranda or wherever, they did it because they understood, they knew what his words were, that's what they wanted him, that's what he wanted them to do. And so this though, what he just said about the Attorney General of the state of New York, Letitia James, he's called her racist. He's called her all sorts of names. We've already heard that she has to have 24/7 protection, that there have been death threats against her by his supporters. But this quote that he just has said on national television, that he has basically told everyone to go after this Attorney General, I don't know how you can get any more explicit than that. And so I think that law enforcement is going to be listening. They're going to know that he did this, and they're going to be in heightened position and posture to protect the Attorney General, who has been threatened today in the middle of a trial. And he's got the microphone, he's standing outside of court. And if any other criminal or civil defendant, and I Freudian slip say criminal here, because, this is, although it is a civil case, it is quasi-criminal. This is Letitia James as the Attorney General using her enforcement powers to go after Donald Trump, who is engaging in persistent fraud. And so she's doing this on behalf of the state of New York. And what she's doing is she's basically saying, you can't lie and take money that other people can't. You can't. Business in New York has to be above board. You can't lie to get money and then use that money to make more money. It's the ultimate Ponzi scheme that he's engaged in, that she is bringing against him. And if any other defendant in a situation like this were to say you should go after a public servant like the Attorney General who is bringing this case against him, especially someone who has blood on his hands because his calls to action, his calls to violence have been met by his followers, any other criminal defendant would not be allowed to get away with that. And they'd be put in jail. Donald Trump poses a very tricky situation for judges because he's running for president. That's his defense, by the way. His defense to all of these charges is, well, I'm running for president, so you can't go after me. But all of these things were in the works before he decided to run, and he's running to use that as a defense.
I want to show you this next clip here. Donald Trump is attacking the judge. But I don't just want our viewers and you to listen to that part. Listen until the very end, and I have a comment and I want to get your thoughts. Play this clip.
Violent crime that's being committed in our city and our state is disgraceful, and we're going to be here for months with a judge that already made up his mind. It's ridiculous. He's a Democrat judge, he's an operative, and it's ridiculous. Other than that, things went very well.
What are you going to have for lunch? Will you come back after lunch, Mr. Trump?
Probably.
You know, the end of it right there, I think, sums up one of the cataclysmic failures of the media, with Donald Trump attacking the judge, attacking the attorney general, threatening their lives, saying things that are also factually false, like he was whining earlier in another clip that we showed on some of our other videos about not getting a jury trial. It was because his lawyer, Alina Habba, failed to check the box that said that there was a jury trial. He claims the judge ruled about the valuation of Mar-a-Lago's $18 million. The judge didn't make a ruling like that. The judge cited Donald Trump's own valuation to pay less property taxes and what the appraisal is. So there are all these lies that he's saying, the attacks, the threats, and then you see the journalists right there. I mean, this is their job, right, Karen? This is the moment that you are there to be the fourth estate. And the question was, what are you getting for lunch, Mr. Trump? Are you going to be coming back? And then they all laugh like, ha, 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 ha. And they are the ones who normalize that behavior. If I was there, my question would have been, so did you just threaten the attorney general? Are you threatening the judge? Should we take, they laugh about it. It's really problematic, I think. What do you think?
I completely agree. Because there are no consequences to his threats and to what he's been doing. I mean, he has said things about Justice Chutkan, who's the judge overseeing January 6th federal trial by Jack Smith. She's had death threats to her chambers. Same thing with Jack Smith, the special counsel. Every single judge and prosecutor, except for his Trump-appointed judge, the ones that rule in ways that he agrees with, they've all had to have round-the-clock protection because of death threats. And again, it's over and over and over again. But because it happens and he keeps doing it, and there are no consequences. Now, there is a gag order that Jack Smith has asked Judge Chutkan a limited gag order to impose, and he cited the threats. So finally, somebody is trying to hold him to account. But so far, nobody has taken any action to stop him, which is why it is just allowed to continue and why it's a joke, because Donald Trump is making a mockery of our system. He gets away with things that nobody else would get away with. Nobody.
If that was a criminal defendant or civil defendant in a case where, well, with you as a former prosecutor, if that was a criminal defendant, what would be the outcome? Immediate remand into custody?
Immediately. Absolutely immediately remanded into custody. There's no question about it. And so I don't understand it. I don't know why he is allowed to. I get that there are other considerations because he's running for president and therefore he needs to be given some leeway to continue on. But threats is not free speech. Threats are violence, it's action, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. At a minimum, a limited gag order, but I think potentially it could be other sanctions as well, because the threats, he does not have a right to do that. And so, as I said, any other defendant would have been put in by now. And when I say put in, I mean he'd be put in jail. So he cannot be out there threatening people's lives. And we've already seen the violence. We've already seen the chaos. We've already seen the reaction, and the death threats have come, et cetera. And, no matter, you could talk about Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, right? You could talk about anyone who has, he calls out by name and criticizes has had their life put on the line, has had to move, have had to have security, but this one is a direct threat, a quote, "You ought to go after this attorney general." I mean, isn't this him explicitly calling to his followers to attack Attorney General Letitia James? He then goes on to say that Justice Engoron is a rogue judge who should be out of office. I just don't see how much more explicit, rather than, by the way, doing it and then sort of calming down and backing off because judges have told him to, or his lawyers have told him to, he's escalating. This is escalating, right? As if holding a baseball bat next to the prosecutor, Alvin Bragg's head was not explicit enough. Now you have his words. You should go after the attorney general. This is escalating behavior and escalating conduct, and somebody needs to hold him to account.
Yeah, and October 16th will be the hearing before Judge Chutkin. We will keep you posted as we learn more about what, if any, ramifications will occur here in this case. And I think to hear that from Karen Friedman Agnifilo, the former number 2 at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, an office that would have jurisdiction over crimes committed in the area where Karen and I both agree a crime was just committed. You've heard that perspective here first on the MeidasTouch Network. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers. We will keep up with our continuing coverage of the New York Attorney General's civil fraud trial. Have a great day and check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.